Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I, excuse me. Pardon me. Oh, oh. What did we learn? Holy cow. Yeah, I was excited to get into that one. Not gonna, not gonna make that up. I was definitely excited. About 45 minutes, start to finish, from the time I sat down, from the first and started recording and talking. I don't know that the full first video, the wave 2 threshold, number 3. I don't know that full 38. Wait, no. I don't know that all 45 minutes of that is going to make it into the first video. First half of this, where you watch my meditation session or my experience. But 45 minutes ish, give or take a second or two, for the full thing. 38 minutes of full quality Robert Monroe doing the thing. Yeah, that was good. Given that I read ahead and did the instructions, I had my full packet in my head. I knew what I was going to ask for. It threw me for a little bit of a loop. I had the idea of, hey, it's going to be this specific thing, right? It's going to be, he's going to tell me to say, I am receiving this thing. This is the thing I am receiving. And then you're going to do that a couple times, probably. But it turns out that there's different, levels of it, right? One is the very superfluous, superficial. Once you get to focus 12, sorry, let me back up. I got to focus 10 real quick. I got to focus 12. There was a moment where he pops in and he says something about being in focus 10 and then proceed on to focus 12. And I was right there at focus 10. And then his voice came in and surprised me. So there was a little jarring. I didn't come out of focus 10 though. I was right there. I was like, oh, okay, sure. Like, I just didn't know didn't know you were there, Robert. And then went on to focus 12. We had our, he set me up for it. But I thought it was going to be something more straightforward of, hey, repeat the mantra, I am receiving, I am feeling, focusing in on receiving the thing. But there were a couple of levels to it. One was a very, I don't want to say superficial, but it's a topical layer of, hey, what's the straightforward question, right? Think of it in the present tense, as in I am receiving, I am doing, I am this. I did that, and then the next one is imagine the emotional state that you're in, which I hadn't really encapsulated yet. Like, I hadn't fully envisioned that piece of it. It makes sense if you're going to you see yourself doing something, you should feel yourself doing something. It makes it a much more real and visceral experience for you. But I hadn't prepared the feelings of what that feels like. So that was a little bit new, but I was able to. It's not like I wasn't able to feel. There'd be a problem if I couldn't feel. Just looking at the bird outside. Looks like an immature chickadee of some sort. Anyway, yeah, I think there would be a problem if I couldn't feel. If I had lost feeling of the emotions of the spirit of where I'm trying to get to in my life, what I'm trying to do. And then the third part was the mental aspect of it, right? How are you mentally preparing for this? How are you mentally prepared? How do you mentally feel? What is the mental state of this? Get your mind behind it. So it's the body, the mind, and the feelings, the body, mind, emotion, the whole trinity, the whole triad of it, moving forward in there, which isn't really detailed out in the instructions, the preparatory manual so much. But then as I read through this, I see that there are some spots where I feel like, oh, well, maybe you should have mentioned this, or maybe you should do that. But I don't also know that that's necessarily necessary, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It's a situation where you have to go into the experience a little open eye, a little wide eyed, get your vacation eyes on, get a little wide eyed into it, and just prepare for the experience and not so much each direct and specific step, right? So I think that was good that I had read ahead, that I paid attention to what this next one was supposed to be. I'm interested, if you're following along, the first video I was doing Threshold 1, Wave 2, Threshold 1, which is the introduction to Focus 12. And then I did the second one yesterday, which was, but anyway, the first video in this series was very much a Focus 1, or the introduction, but guys, I fell asleep. I don't know what to tell you. Just passed right on through from Threshold 1 into Threshold 4, which is color breathing, which is the next step after this third one that I've done. So I'm looking forward to doing color breathing. That'll be good. As far as this goes, I did very much feel a separation. I was in my body, but I wasn't in my body. I was outside. I was very aware of a further expansion. And I want to say that there's a boundary. I can feel, I can sense. I don't want to say that I can see it, but I can definitely tell that there is a boundary between the physical body that I'm in, my physical being, and the next Focus 10, and then Focus 12. There's a step. It's not a step. It's not a physical step, but it's definitely there's definitely an energy level. There's a different wavelength. There's a different vibration. My kids are always telling me to vibe different, but it's definitely another step beyond what I experience right here, right? It's a detachment from physical, and I am much more amorphous in form, which isn't bad. Uh, I don't know that it's a thing that I'm a state that I would want to always be in. Though I suppose if we spend more of our experience outside of the physical meat machine that we're in, I get to spend more time in that amorphous shape or form than I do in this physical form, which has its own really feelings and connotations to it. I'm digressing a bit, but when I got to Focus 12, I was very much able to follow the directions of asking, of forming, of very crisply forming the question, the desire, the request, I am receiving peace. I was very clear in holding that, in the physical portion of it, in the emotional feelings of it, and then in the mental attitude of that request, of that being. It's a really good feeling. I am looking forward to, and I will follow up with. I'll follow up and let you know when it happens, if it happens in the timeline or not. But we'll see. So essentially, following the directions seems to help. Knowing what you're doing seems to help. Having a very clear, crisp idea of what it is you're going for. And trust me, I could have gotten much more crisp and succinct and direct with what it is I was looking for. My timeline was it's very short. It's 2 weeks, right? I said I am receiving this within the next 2 weeks. So sometime in the next 2 weeks, hopefully I've got an update for you, which I will post and let you know how that goes. So that was really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about this from a different piece. I'm always thinking about growth and development, personal growth, personal development, emotional, relational, my life, my wife, my kids, my family, professionally, just growing in all of those aspects. And I was listening to a guy named Dan Coe, and he said something that we all hear, but like, step back a bit. Warren Buffett said, hey, it's great if you read 100 books a year, but what if you read one book 100 times in that year? How many references and statements and ideas and concepts would you pick up on in the second, third, 50th, 75th, 100th reading of that book that you missed in the first 10, 20, 99 readings of, right? And that stuck with me for a lot of reasons. I like to read a lot. And I'm more of a 100 books in a year than one book 100 times kind of guy. Um, but I do recognize that there are times when you hear something that you know you've heard 100 times, 1,000 times. You hear it again, and it hits you different, right? It sticks with you. It lodges itself in. So I was listening. Circle this all the way around. I was listening to Dan Coe. He's a YouTuber. You should check him out. He's great. He's got a lot of really good stuff. And he said the thing that we've all heard, which is every 7 years, all of the cells in your body are completely replaced, right? So by the time you're 7 or 8, none of the cells in your body were there when you were born. And then by the time you're 14, 15, none of those cells are in your body that were there when you were 7 or 8, right? So 0 to 7 would be one body. 8 to 15 would be the second. I guess 22 would be the third. I'm just roughly putting it out there, but essentially, I'm in my 6th generation of my meat body, based on this 7-year cycle, which I think is a really kind of interesting concept, because, trust me, there are injuries I've had, things are breaking down. I get that I'm not as fast or as svelte as I used to be. Your comments are very nice, thank you. But it's a situation where we're growing, we're learning, we're developing, and what is it? What is it you learn in each of these sort of epochs, eras, if you will, of meat vehicularitude? It's a new phrase. I coining that one. Meat vehicularitude. Meat vehicular-ration. Whatever it is, we're going to get that one. It's going to be a thing. But I think about these things like, you learn so much between 0 and 7. And then in that second one, between to 15, like you're learning just tons more. And then from 15 to 22, 23 to like everything before you're 30, it's incredible. You learn so much. But there's definitely a point somewhere about, I'm going to say 28, and this is just thinking through it. There's a point at like 28 where divergence happens, right? And people that are 28 or do ish, 28-ish, you hit a point in there, and it's, I don't know if it's conscious, unconscious, what it is, but there is definitely a point where you get to and you say, I'm going to stop growing. I'm going to just coast on what I've got and just ride it out, right? And those people think that their life is flat from that point on, but in reality, it is a downward curve. And then there are people who consciously or unconsciously, they have developed a pattern in their life, and they like the learning, they like the growth, the development, the process. And somewhere in there, they're like, hey, I'm gonna kick this up and just let's see where we go. And it's a hockey stick. you go incredible places. And that's what I want for you. Uh, Not just you as the whole, but you watching this right here. I want you to keep learning and growing and developing, um, and to ride that hockey stick wave. Go up to the sky's the limit, right? Um, you can do everything. You can do anything. It's it's kind of easy to sit and listen to and meditate on these things, and you develop a very interesting, intense view of the world, and you learn so much more. And that might be off topic a little bit for this whole 1 month patterning meditation experience of asking for and receiving some sort of physical, emotional, mental reward. But I don't think it's that far off if you think through that all of this comes with growth and learning and understanding of yourself and the world you're in. Because the only way you get things, the way that things come to you and come into your life, are through unlocking problems that you solve to get to the next problem to solve, to get to the next problem to solve that, to solve that, to solve that, to solve that, to solve that. And if you get to a certain point in your life where you're like, I've solved all these problems and I don't want to solve any more problems, good news, you don't have to. You get to sit there with that one problem until you decide that you're going to solve it. You're going to fix it. Don't do that. Don't sit with that one problem forever until the end of time. It's a waste. You're not going to become who you want to become. And you'll be frustrated and you'll live a sad, miserable life. Figure out what that problem is. Unlock it, solve it, go to the next one. And to be fair, not every problem, not every solution presents itself immediately, right? Sometimes it takes you a minute to realize what the actual problem is, what the actual solution is, how to go about getting those things done, how to fix it and how to correct it and how to move forward. So if you're there, I hope you get a chance to work through it. I hope you recognize what your problem or your issue is. I got a problem with these birds. I'm watching them too much. It's not really a problem. It's an addiction. But work through your problems. Work on yourself. Work through whatever issues you might have. This was a really good one. I really liked it. Like I said, we'll see what happens going forward. I guess I probably will move into color breathing next, which, like I said earlier, and I did that one back to back with the introduction because I pretty much blew through the break point in between the two in the way that the files are staggered on my phone. So just watch out for that one. It's coming. Yeah, feel free, like, subscribe, like, subscribe, like, comment. Put it all down there right below here. I'll put my foot down into the comments. So feel free. Tell me what you think. Give me some thoughts. Give me some feedback. Anything you want. Like I said, this was a good one. I enjoyed it. I'll see you guys out there. Rep the Boilermakers. Peace.